guys, it's Michelle from the Trace of Motherhood. Welcome to Adoption Vlog Tuesdays. I was going to break this down into 2 different vlogs, but I decided that I'm just going to try to talk as quickly as possible and get through this. This is going to be my, special needs vlog. Basically what I am willing to accept in a child. For me, if I was physically giving birth or if my surrogate got pregnant, I would not be aborting anything, so I would take what came to me. But because that's not the case, I am going to limit my special needs based on the fact that there are some that I cannot handle because of where I live, because of services available, and just being a single mom, I can't, there's stuff that I know I cannot accommodate. So HIV positive, cystic fibrosis, spina bifida, and severe heart defects are basically my, sorry, I can't do that. I'm sure there's probably other ones. Basically, if there's a wheelchair involved, any blindness I cannot deal with because I just fly too much and there's just too much that goes on in my house and in my community. So anyway, so those are some that I cannot accept. I am not Christian and I do not believe in God, but I do believe that whatever child that is meant to come to me will be coming to me. So I want to leave my door open to as many possibilities as possible, if that makes sense. But anyway, this vlog is probably going to be pretty long. I apologize, probably 10-20 minutes, but I'm going to try to go through these very quickly. So first off, these are willing to accept. I am not an expert on any of these. I have just done basic research to figure out if it's something that I feel like I can handle versus can't handle. Also, if I obviously adopted a child with one of these issues, I would be doing a lot more research and finding out exactly what is going on. So anyway, so first off, Down syndrome. I had mentioned in a different vlog that I was not willing to accept a Down syndrome baby. I then went and did actual research on it versus just my random knowledge. And really, it's something I can handle. They usually have heart defects, and depending on the heart defect is whether or not I will accept the child. This is something that's known at births or prior to birth, so it's not like I'm getting into something where I would adopt the child and then find out 3-4 years down the road that there's an issue. So if the heart defect is not major and it just requires maybe a surgery, like a minor surgery, I'm willing to accept that child. It's weird because I have actually had dreams where I've adopted a Down syndrome girl, and just imagining my life with Down syndrome child, and just totally different than before when I was like, no, I'm not adopting a child with Down syndrome, versus now I really feel like it is something that I can handle. Their special needs in terms of intellectual and school-wise vary greatly, which that is something that will just come with the territory on going with the flow. But then again, you could adopt a child that is normal and they could have autism or ADHD or something like that, and you will never know it until they're older. So it's just something that I feel like I can handle. Drug and alcohol exposure. Research has shown that drug exposure is not usually a long-term issue. Usually it's just detoxing at birth and then they go on to live normal lives. Alcohol is obviously a different can of worms. I teach a lot of children with fetal alcohol syndrome, so I know really what I'm getting into. And comparing fetal alcohol with Down syndrome, fetal alcohol has a lot more issues. Also with Down syndrome is very noticeable. So when your child is acting up or having a rough day, if the child has a outward physical appearance of Down syndrome, most people are more tolerant of that than say they're having a bad day and they are FAS. People just don't view it the same. So that's why like Down syndrome I feel like I could handle. FAS I can too, but I would take, if I was given a choice between the two, I would actually take the Down syndrome child. Anyway, next is cleft lip, cleft palate. I think basically everyone knows what this is, where there's issues with the mouth and deformities there. Usually surgery will correct it. They're just normal children beyond that. Sometimes they have feeding issues, depending on how severe it is, but usually just surgery, and that is correctable. Amniotic band syndrome / missing limbs. Basically, they're missing an arm, a leg, hands, feet, fingers, toes. I am willing to accept that as long as they are not missing both legs or both arms, both hands. Like, I want them to have one full limb. Like, yeah. I feel like I could handle this. There's a student at our school that is missing half an arm, was born like that, and he perfectly normal. He does have like learning disabilities, but I don't think it's not connected to the fact that he's missing half an arm. So as long as they have an arm or a leg, I'm fine with that. Also, there's like prosthetics and stuff. This child does have a prosthetic, but he doesn't like to wear it, so obviously it depends on your child. But anyway, that's something I'm willing to take. Failure to thrive / low birth weight. Again, something that is just go with the flow, depends on how severe it is, and just trying to get that child healthy. I don't feel like it's as severe as some things. Of course, it varies case by case. Correctable / minor heart defects like holes in the heart or small minor surgeries that are required, or if the child needs to be on heart medication or something like that. I just don't want anything that is going to be long-term where it's going to be surgery every year or a high chance of the child dying, because I can't handle that. Hearing impairment, I can definitely accept a child with hearing loss or no hearing to begin with. As opposed to blindness. If the child has sight impairments and cannot see, I don't think I can handle that just because logistics. I just don't have the resources available to help a child. Versus hearing impairments, I know some sign language and I'm obviously willing to learn more. Plus with stuff like colloquial implants, science has come a long way, and with stuff like that can help children hear and whatnot. So I'm definitely willing to take that. Also, in terms of where I live, not that I'm going to live here forever, but I will live in a community such as this, and it's a lot easier for a child to adapt if they have a hearing impairment versus a sight impairment, because really we are not set up for any child that has a sight impairment versus a hearing impairment. There could be modifications done. Clubfoot, so basically their foot is deformed, usually just surgery. They might need some physical therapy to help them walk, but beyond that it's not really an issue. Ambiguous genitalia, usually just surgery is required. Back in the day, when you didn't have DNA testing, it was a lot more difficult. Now, because when the child's born, they'll just do a DNA test, find out if they're girl or boy, and then do a surgery based off of that. Sometimes they might need hormone treatments, depending on why there was an issue to begin with. But yeah, it's not an issue for me. Kind of going along with that is congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Basically with that, the child is born with 2 adrenal glands, so they have issues with their hormones. They have more male hormones in their system. So for a girl, they might have ambiguous genitalia when they're born, just because they have more male hormones in their system. Usually this is treated just with medications, surgery if they have ambiguous genitalia. With girls, it can also mess with their menstrual cycles, but again, usually just hormones to correct that, or other drugs like steroids and stuff. Port wine stains, usually most people know what those are. The like purpley skin on arms, legs, face, stuff like that. There's no issues in terms of development. There's no issues in terms of intellectual. It's just very much a cosmetic issue. Limb differences, arms, legs, shorter, longer than the other. Again, not really an issue. Usually maybe to have like physical therapy if needed, but there's not really huge issues. Microtia, this is one that's definitely going somewhere here, or yeah, I'm not even going to try that one. Anyway, basically it is an ear development problem. They don't develop properly. The one that begins with an M is the outer ear, doesn't develop properly or may even be missing. The one that begins with an A is the absence of an ear canal. So obviously with this one there could be hearing issues, which goes along with the hearing impairment, where I'm completely fine with it. Sometimes they need a hearing aid. Sometimes there may need to be, if they want to, as the child grows, get like cosmetic surgery to actually form their ear differently. But again, not a huge issue. Joints are deformed, fused, or stiff, so usually just physical therapy is needed for that one. It's pretty rare, but it's something I'm willing to take because physical therapy is not an issue. Hepatitis B positive. Unlike HIV, Hep B is not like as bad. There isn't like the liver issues with like Hep C. Also, most people are inoculated against Hep B, so like I have it, my brothers have it, my parents might not, but it's something that they can easily get. Most children these days are inoculated against it, so really if the child is born with Hep B, although it is obviously something that needs to be taking extra precautions, it's not something that is going to jump from child to child. Obviously, if one child is bleeding and they touch it with an open wound, there might be contamination and spreading that way, but it's really not like HIV where the child can die from it. So it's definitely something I am open to taking. Hemofacial microsomia, issues with face development, just deformities on their face. When they're older, they might need surgery, or they might have issues with their teeth, or with hearing issues, depending on how their face is deformed. Dental issues, whatever. Your child could be born perfectly normal and have dental issues, and hearing issues I've already gone over. Radial club. I feel like someone I used to work with had this. I don't know exactly that he did, but basically the arm doesn't form properly, so they might need surgery or physical therapy depending on the severity of it, but they develop normally beyond that. Mild cerebral palsy. My old roommate had mild cerebral palsy. There's a broad spectrum of severity with it, and in the mild form, she could do almost everything normal. She had some limited range of motion in her arm, but beyond that was fine. So as long as the child is not going to be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of their life, I am definitely willing to accept a child with cerebral palsy. It's really rare. Basically, the skin appears scaly, and most of the time it's just like, eczema, where you just at home have skin treatments, different creams that the doctor can prescribe, and the skin might crack and like bleed and stuff, but honestly I have that with my hands. I have eczema on my hands, and when they get really dry, my skin will crack and bleed. Obviously this is like a more extreme version of that, but it's definitely something that is just treatable at home. The last one, most people have probably heard of, even though I have no idea how to pronounce it, torticollis. Basically the muscles in the neck tighten and cause the head to pull to one side. This can be caused by birth, or by having the child lay on one side or in one place for too long. So sometimes kids that are in daycare have this issue, like newborns, because they're just laid on their back or whatever for hours and hours and hours. Basically it's just done by physical therapy usually, so it's not really a huge issue. So that is a quick overview of all the special needs I am willing to accept. Obviously there are more. Basically, as long as it's not something that's going to cause the child to die really, really early, or be in a wheelchair, or that's basically it. Or eyesight, totally blind, not willing to take. Beyond that, it's going to be like more like a case by case, having it, if I'm ever matched with a child, then going over what they know about that child, because even stuff like Down syndrome is not every single child's the same, so I would want to know like exactly what I'm getting myself into. If I was physically having the child, like I said, I wouldn't be aborting anything, so even if they had spina bifida, I wouldn't be aborting, so I would just go with the flow. But I want to try to keep like things limited to what I know I can handle and won't totally like upset my life. I know that sounds like, I don't know, selfish maybe, but I know what I can handle and what I can't, and I kind of want to keep it to that. Of course, there might be something totally not on this list that might come up, and I'll be like, okay, sure, why not? But really, out of this entire list, the thing that I have like envisioned the most is Down syndrome. Like I said, I had dreams about adopting a Down syndrome little girl, and I just feel like that maybe is one of the best, if that makes sense. One of the ones I feel like I could handle the best, because it is very, people know about it, so it's not like this hidden thing. It's something that there's lots of resources for and lots of support for. It's something my mom works with adults with Down syndrome, so like I know as the child grows like what to expect a little more. It's also something that's diagnosed before birth, so if I get a match and she's say 6 months pregnant, I know ahead of time. Also with like the heart defects and stuff, it's easy to know ahead of time, either before birth or after birth, like right after birth, to know the severity of those, so I can prepare myself. And like I said, it's just like there's more resources and stuff available than say congenital adrenal hyperplasia, right? Like no one, comment down below if you've ever heard of that before, versus Down syndrome. Yeah, and like I said with that versus fetal alcohol, just having the physical characteristics, more people are aware of it than something that's more hidden. So anyway, so that is a quick list. I think that covers everything. No matter what, children are going to tease each other. A lot of people have said, well, why would you want to adopt a child that you know is going to get teased? If they're not going to get teased about a special need, they're going to get teased about something. There's always a reason that kids will tease. Names, looks, voice, like, yeah. And like I said too, stuff like autism, where you might have a child that seems perfectly normal, and when they're 4, 5, 6, there starts to be signs that they aren't completely normal. So anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.